Can you go on, play? Go on, Mary.
Indiana Jones.
Hello.
Use the force, Luke.
What you talking about, Luke? Marcia.
What's up now? Spider friends, go for it!
Transform and roll out.
And I'll form the head. That's what she said. Don't!
Hey, this is Jonathan.
And this is Alan, and welcome to the NerdInMePodcast. Jonathan, what are we talking about today?
I'll say we're going to go over WandaVision episode 3.
What time did you watch this one?
What time did I watch it?
Yeah, did you watch it? Did you wake up early again, or what?
No, I woke up my regular time for work. I just watched it before I got ready for work and stuff like that. Because I wake up about an hour and a half for work, and since I'm working from home, I don't really need that much time. So
It's
I
insane.
woke around 6.
Oh, okay. It's insane. It's only a 30-minute episode. You know, it for some reason why I feel like it should be longer, but maybe 30 is like the sitcom time of like the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. Maybe that's the runtime or something. But
Yeah, without commercials, it's 22 minutes. Usually.
Yeah, I'm saying it because I want more.
Yeah, I thought this episode was the shortest of the 3 so far.
Yeah. It felt like it. Yeah, because Jonathan texted me 6 a.m. and I was just waking up. I'm like, huh? And then he's like, you're like, hey, let's do an episode. I'm like, oh, I guess I gotta watch it.
Originally we were gonna just tack on episode thoughts at the end of our
Other
normal
shows.
podcast.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I was like, I think we need to do like a whole show on this. Maybe not as long as our usual shows, but we should just have a show dedicated to this episode.
Yeah, I think it would have done them better. You know how they released the first 2?
Mm-hmm.
I think they should have released the first 3 because this was pretty pivotal. So I brought this up because, one of the shows we talked about, could non-comic book readers or like not grow up during like this 70s, 80s understand what's going on? So my daughter caught the first episode. It was tough, because everything went way over her head. And episode 3, the current episode, even for me, I felt good because it's like finally there's something being revealed. So again, we talked about it on the first episode. It was a gamble with what they were doing. What are your thoughts? Do you think their pacing of the shows is correct? And I'm asking you from like, if you can think of like the general viewer of WandaVision.
I think I don't know that you needed to read the comic books to get this story. You definitely needed to have some familiarity with the movies. I think we talked about it in last week's show when we discussed episode 1 and 2, that it was a bold choice by them being Marvel Studios to really start off those 2 episodes with really no idea of what's going on. Mm-hmm. I mean, even comic book readers like you and I, we were just speculating what might be going on. And I think that's what made the show enjoyable for us, because we're looking for clues to kind of support or not support our theories. So for the casual viewer, you can't not know the Marvel Universe and start watching the show. You're not going to get. I don't think you'd enjoy it, or you'd think it was some kind of weird sitcom. If you just watch the first 2 episodes. So we said it was a bold choice, and I think it worked for them. I mean, the news, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, it was all about WandaVision the past week, And I think in that respect, getting everybody to speculate and start talking about theories, it reminds you of Lost. I don't know, did you watch Lost when Lost was on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you remember when Lost was on, that whole week in between episodes, it was on the radios and the talk shows, and everybody was speculating. What's this mean? What's the numbers mean? What's in the hatch? And I think WandaVision kind of tapped into that. Maybe not to the same extent, but I think it definitely tapped into that curiosity. It's almost like an interactive show, because hey, look, we've decided to do a whole episode just to talk about episode 3, because we really want to talk about our theories and what we think might be going on. So whoever made the decisions, I understand thinking maybe they should have done the first 3 episodes, dropped them all at once. But like again, we said it last week. It was bold. They dropped 2 of them. I think it whetted people's appetite enough to come back for this week.
Yeah, I think episode 3 was a good turning point for me because the first 2, and we grew up watching those kind of sitcoms, black and white sitcoms like I Love Lucy and Bewitched and all that stuff. It felt good. It felt fun. This episode was, I think, stronger for me because, well, spoiler alert, right? This episode probably mirrored mostly like with the Brady Bunch, which hit a lot of generations, and I think it's probably of the 3 sitcoms, Brady Bunch, Bewitched, and Dick Van Dyke Show. I think most people may be more familiar with the Brady Bunch and who they are, and because they had like movies, and the Brady Bunch Show, even though the sitcom was canceled, they had like very special, very Brady Christmas stuff, and it kind of dragged on a little bit further down the road than the other 2 I mentioned and stuff. So I enjoyed this one way, way more, and should they have done all 3 at once? Maybe, maybe not. But it is true, though. Marvel is doing something very different, because like if you follow the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it does have a similar formula for each movie. Even the bad guys are a little bit predictable because it's like the mirror image of who the hero is. Very interesting that they took this spin on it. That they took the comic book universe and they made it like a Twilight Zone kind of thing, and and they're pulling it off, which is truly remarkable with how they are steering this ship for these 2 very popular movie characters, and they're pulling it off, and it's amazing that they're doing it in the way that they're doing it. It's just different than their normal template, and to me they're killing it, especially today.
Yeah, today's episodes. I mean, and I saw it in the morning, first thing in the morning. I'm still a little sleepy, but what I still marveled at, no pun intended, was, you feel like you're watching a sitcom. It begins like a sitcom, and you feel like you're watching a sitcom. But then, and we talked about this last week, then things take like a turn for the weird or the serious. When Vision, his neighbor, starts cutting the wall with the hedge clippers, you're like, that's really, again, Twilight Zone, and it's kind of, for me, it was jarring because I'm in this, I think our brains, especially you and I and our generation, our brains are trained for this rerun sitcom formula, and they started us out like that, and then it just gets weird suddenly with the guy cutting the wall with the hedge clippers, and I'm like, okay, so this is happening, and this is very odd, and in some places they still have the laugh track in, and Vision. And Paul Bettany's doing a fantastic job, but his demeanor changes. He as when he's sitcom Vision, he's goofy and making puns and being silly, but it's those serious moments, and it's when that spark hits him, like this isn't right. There's just something not right, and that helps the viewers understand that there's something about all this that's just not right. I think they did a great job with that in today's episode. I really did. Yeah,
the tension in this one was. It was there. You felt the tension. It felt good, And well, let's break down some pieces because we didn't do that last podcast. You mentioned the guy cutting the hedges, and he's cutting right into that wall. What do you think was going on there?
I thought they were trying to get into. Well, if you follow, if what I think is happening, and what a lot of people think is happening about Wanda creating this separate reality, and she's walled it off from the rest of the world. At the beginning, when I saw that happening, I was thinking that his name's Herb. That Herb was, really a sword or shield soldier and trying to get into the reality, or trying to cut his way into something that was in the wall. He didn't really have hedge clippers. He wasn't really cutting a wall. Maybe he had like some kind of torch and he was cutting a door or something.
Yeah. That's exactly what I thought. Yeah,
that's what I thought. Yeah. But let's just rewind a little bit. So, I mean, the episode opens with Wanda, which happens to this show too. Wanda finds out, she found at the end of episode 2 that she's pregnant, and she's being examined by a doctor. And I'm looking for clues in everything. I mean, I'm looking for clues in in people's names, in like the furniture. I'm just like, is that a clue? Is that a clue?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I might be over analyzing it. And I'm not one that usually does that with shows, but so, first thing you do notice is it's definitely a 70s Brady Bunch theme. It's very much corny, hokey jokes. When the credits rolled, did you notice? And even the credits kind of resembled a Brady Bunch ending. Instead of the 9 squares, it had the hexagons.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I thought about it, I'm like, oh my God, hexagons. In the comic books, they called Wanda's powers hex powers. I'm like, is that related? Like, because the hexagon is a very specific shape, and there's a reason they're using the hexagon, I think.
Oh, hexagons are all over the place. Even on
the
ladies' earrings, there were hexagons.
Oh, do yours make me look fat? That one? What she says, do these earrings make me look fat?
Oh, I didn't catch that line, but her earrings are hexagons.
It's the blonde woman?
No. What'd you call herself?
Geraldine?
Foxy Lady? Is that
Geraldine.
Geraldine? No, she say her name was something else? Call me Foxy or something like that. I think she said that.
No, she's saying that Wanda looked foxy in the dress, in the coat.
Oh, I thought she's
said, like, why you got a coat on? It's 75 degrees.
Huh. Anyway, yeah, she had hexagon earrings.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. So
everything's a freaking clue.
Yeah. So that's the first thing I noticed, that the hexagon in the when it was coming out. And I think the hexagon was on the back of the quote unquote beekeeper, right?
On the back of the beekeeper was the shield sign. The sword. Right. Yeah. Okay. Who made me think now that I'm thinking about it, like if you look in the comic books, isn't that kind of like what Hydra? They kind of have that look. They almost look like beekeepers with their outfits.
In the comic book, that was AIM.
Oh, was it AIM?
The yellow. Like,
right, the yellow. Right, right. Doesn't it look like that was like an AIM trooper? Now that you like beekeepers.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Okay. But I he's got the sword emblem on, so I don't know, maybe because they're saying Wanda, again, the voice last week, Wanda, who's making you do this, maybe AIM is involved in some way, who knows. So when Herb's cutting the wall, that's our first glimpse that something's not right. I mean, beyond the fact that she's, Vision said she's been pregnant for like 12 hours and she looks like she's 4 months in the beginning of the show. I think there's a lot in this episode of Wanda just using her powers in ways we've never seen before, which got me thinking about a theory of her powers, because we know that her and her brother got their powers through manipulation of the Mind Stone, right? And I was just telling you before we recorded that I was rewatching Age of Ultron, and I think there's a line in maybe Endgame or Infinity War saying that the stones are like connected to each other somehow.
Oh yeah, Wong says that in Endgame,
like they're alive or something like that. Yeah. So I'm like, what if we're all thinking Wanda only has mind powers, and actually between this episode and watching Age of Ultron again, Wanda's displaying a lot of powers that you kind of forget she has, or she only uses them once. And I started thinking, like, what if she taps into all of the stones? What if she's and unknowingly does it? And what if she's almost like a living Infinity Gauntlet?
I'm not too sure about that. I mean, the thing with Wanda's powers,
maybe not as powerful, but maybe she can use, because she's shown it. She reverses time twice. She did it in this episode, and she did it in episode 2.
Right.
So that's the times. She's she hypnotized Cap and the Avengers in Age of Ultron. That's the Mind Stone. She's got powers like the Power Stone. I don't know. I just think she seems to exhibit traits of all the different stones.
I mean, I guess. I mean, the thing with Wanda is that her, like they call it in comics, her hex powers, and then she manipulates chance. And so even in the movies, it's hard to really figure out exactly what her powers really, really are. If anything, if you're watching like even Age of Ultron, it just seems more of like telekinetic energy, So it's, even if you read the comic books, it's even questionable as to what she can and can't. Well, you're taking her powers, and then we talked last week about that Agatha Harkness, who was a witch,
right?
And so I guess if you're mixing the two of those things, it's almost like anything's possible if you're dealing with magic. You know,
Right.
like you can even say Tabitha could have done the same thing because it's magic.
I see what you're saying. The funny thing is, in the comic books, her powers were always. I never understood her powers because they always say she alters the probabilities. That was
Right.
her hex power. Is she alters? I'm like, what the heck does that mean? And basically, basically it means the odds of a bullet missing her go way down, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, let's say someone shoots at her and she weaves her hands at it or whatever.
Yeah.
Of course the bullet would, it's like a 1% chance it won't hit her.
Right.
But she raises that probability.
And she
if it
goes,
happens,
probably not.
Yeah. So I never liked that because it was so ambiguous, and I think the comic writers used it because then anytime they write themselves into a jam, they can say, "Oh, Wanda's probabilities power has got us out of it,"
Right.
And she, but then they did mix in the witchcraft part of it. But again, this is the MCU Wanda, and so these are just things I was thinking about because I noticed it, and it really kind of hit me the second time when, and we can talk about that where Vision says to Wanda, something is wrong here, in a very serious tone, and she just like, you could see it. She blinks or something, and it looks like your TV glitches, and it goes back.
Right.
Like last week when she reversed time, like they actually moved backwards. It's like they rewound the film, but this time it's like the video skipped and then he was back standing where he was and he did something different. So it wasn't until that second time I'm like, wait a minute, she can reverse time. Like it kind of hit me, and then I started thinking about this infinity, living infinity gauntlet theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was interesting in that moment where Vision's like, something's wrong. I was trying to read her face, and it seemed to me like, a part of me felt like she knew what was going on too. She just doesn't want it. She doesn't want to break out of her reality. I mean, out of her TV reality. She wants that life with Vision, to have a family, to be at peace, to have her babies. It seems like that's what she wants. And whenever someone tries to pull her out of it, she's like, no, Yeah,
it's definitely a form of denial. Like she is creating this. It's the thing. I think she's creating this reality, but she's denying that she created it. She's trying to pretend that this is her life, this is real. And when anybody breaks that illusion, she gets angry or she reverses time or something.
We asked last show, is Vision real? Right, so we're in episode 3. What are your thoughts now? Do you think Vision is alive, or this is just a construct of her imagination?
I have to think. I like your theory about them being in the stone. I don't think they're in the stone, but I like kind of that theory of bringing them back because I don't want to think. Not that it's easy writing, and I'm not a writer, but I don't know. Just to say Wanda brought him back to life is kind of. I'd like it to be something more involved than that, but it could be something as simple as that. I don't think he's like a construct of her mind, meaning that he's really her, because he is playing along until things start not making sense to him. I mean, you can go deep psychologically and say that he could still be a part of her, and she's rejecting that kind of sensible part of her. He represents the sensible part of her, the rational part, and when it gets when that starts poking a hole in her illusion, she gets angry at it and whatever. But I think he's there. I think it's some form of Vision. Maybe hey, she can manipulate time. Maybe she pulled him out of the time stream. This could be something like that. So I still think it's the real Vision in some form. What I also noticed is that another reason why I think this reality was created by her, it's very, very dependent on her emotional state. When she's excited about the baby and stuff, the butterflies comes alive, and she even says, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that."
Mm-hmm.
When I think the first time she had contractions is that when electricity went crazy,
right?
And then later on, she was having more pains, or her water broke, and it started raining, and it's not just in their house; it's like all over the neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah. So the reality is dependent on her emotional state. So that's another reason you kind of don't want to make her angry. You don't want to upset her because who knows what's going to happen to the reality.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting how they played this episode out. It's truly exciting and stuff. It's God, her character. It's pretty cool with this WandaVision that they're using a TV show to flesh out characters, which you would never get that in a movie. You know, in the movie, if you're thinking of Avengers, right? Well, you know, Scarlet Witch and Vision are the background characters, and the focus is typically Iron Man, Captain America, and maybe even Thor. You know, and I'm trying to figure out what's the end game. Haha, right? How many is it? 8 episodes? Is it or 7?
9. I believe it's 9.
Oh, okay. I'm just really curious how there has to be a strong tie to this with that next phase of the Marvel Universe. You know, because you're talking about Sword, you know, which is I forgot the act, you know, what it means, but it's something to do with like space and weapons, and that could be tied to the Eternals, maybe, you know?
Right.
So there has to be a strong connection there.
It's a Sentient Weapons Observation Research Division or something like that. So, yeah, I'm sure it's all connected. I'm sure they're using this in Wanda's powers. I think it's pretty definite that they're introducing the multiverse. And, you know, because they did absorb the X-Men. They did absorb... Oh, no, well, Spider-Man universe is still separate. But it's a way you can bring Venom into the Marvel movies or other Spider villains. It's a way you can even bring mutants into it. Maybe they're from a different planet. It's a way to bring in a new Captain America that might not be Chris Evans, you know? Mm-hmm. And they're doing the What If cartoon series, which is totally based on the multiverse. It's like, all right. Here's a planet where Peggy Carter became a super soldier. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's and you know, we know that Doctor Strange and Spider-Man 3 are gonna be involved with the multiverse. So I think they're using this as a springboard for that, and I think it's smart. They are pulling from the comics, and yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't know if there'll be a season 2 of this. So I think we have a tendency to look at these things as like regular TV shows that has seasons. Mm-hmm. But I'm curious if they do a WandaVision 2. I'm curious if they'll do another Hawkeye or another Falcon, Winter Soldier. I don't know. I mean, that's down the luck. But I'm sure it's going to tie into everything. I'm like, you know, we said on one of our recent episodes, like how Shang-Chi tie into all this. He doesn't, you know, unless they give him superpowers, you know, in the comics he doesn't have superpowers. He's just the master of kung fu, basically. Yeah. So how does he work into this? It's all, look, they're mapping. They got a roadmap out, and it goes beyond 2022, and it just like they really know what they're doing, and they're planning, and it's paying off for them. I mean, they haven't put a debt out yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's even in this particular series. I mean, like this show, if you're following the Brady Bunch, is like the 70s, and the previous show was the 60s, and the first one's the 50s. Mm-hmm. That means episode 4 is gonna be the 80s, and they hit the 90s, and it's really cool how they're just pulling every week, you know, one decade into the next, into the next, into the next, and it's really. I was not expecting how deep this show is going to be when they announced WandaVision. Even when they had the trailer for it, you know, it looked comedic, you know, tongue-in-cheek, and didn't know where it was going to go. Dude, you hit the nail right on top of the head. Every second of that show, I'm watching it and thinking, is that a clue? Like, what does that mean? Like, even things that just don't even make any sense, like, what does that mean? You know, and it's one of those shows, I think it's fun to watch again, you know. So I watched the episode this morning, right? Immediately, like, oh freak, I gotta watch YouTube. You can figure out like what are the Easter eggs that I missed and stuff. And when you hear them, like, oh yeah, I gotta go back again and then watch it again and see if it makes any more sense than what it does.
Right. Well, you know, like you said, everything's a clue. In the comic books, their twins were named Billy and Tommy, and they have like a little fight over Billy and Tommy. And when they think they're only having one baby, Vision says, you know, Billy, like William Shakespeare. And then he quotes Shakespeare, all the world's a stage and people are players upon it, right? Well, that's what's happening. Like their world is a stage. The world they're in is a stage, and everybody's playing a part in it. And that's kind of what you get from what Herb and Agnes are talking about later. They know something isn't right. Well, they might know exactly something's not right, and they might be trapped in that reality. Because at the end when Geraldine gets thrown out of the reality, in the quote unquote real world, which was great also because I don't know if you noticed, but the viewing aspect ratio changed.
Yeah, it just started to grow like slowly,
Yeah.
like it started to open up and get widescreen.
Yeah, so you're not in that reality anymore. It's really great TV making. When she gets thrown out of the WandaVision reality into real reality, there is a welcome to Westview sign. So did Wanda take over a real town, and are those the real townspeople? And is that why they're suspicious of Geraldine? Is Geraldine a sword agent that was sent in to help or try to stop it or figure out what's going on? And that's why she doesn't have a house. That's why nobody really knows her. But she falls under Wanda's kind of mind thing, because her first statement in this show in episode 2 was when they're at that garden party or whatever that was, a planning meeting at the pool. She just looks at Wanda and says, "I don't even know what I'm doing here." So did she go in? Did that helicopter bring her in? That toy helicopter.
Well, at the end of the episode, when you saw like they're outside that town, immediately I'm thinking, is this a Truman Show? Is this like a contained area that they have Wanda in, and they're trying to manipulate her to have, with her magic powers, to have babies, to make more metahumans,
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah.
So you're thinking sword that she didn't create it, but Sword kind of created it.
No, she created it, but they're pushing her to do it. Like plant that seed.
Not that they're trying to save the people in there.
Save the people where in her make believe town.
In the town.
No,
Yeah,
I think the construct. So so at the end of the episode today, I was thinking, oh, Truman Show. So do they have Wanda in this quote unquote world? Like a stage of some sort, and they're trying to get Wanda to use her hex powers. I'm doing this on the fly, bro. To make babies, to create more metahumans or weapons.
Right. No, but I didn't even take that. I was looking at that's a great theory, because I was looking at as Sword was trying to help. I thought Wanda snapped and created this reality, and people were trapped in there, and they were trying to help the people and help Wanda. But you're saying is no, they want Wanda in there. They didn't create it, but they're happy she created that, and they're kind of manipulate. So instead of trying to help her, they're manipulating her breakdown. To their
Yes. That's exactly what I feel. Yeah, I think that's what I feel. I think that's. Well, I don't know. That's what I thought when I woke up. Then again, it was also 7:00 in the morning.
I'll tell you what. What if we're both right? Because what if Agnes? What if it is AIM? Because AIM was a scientific, advanced ideas mechanics. They were scientists, basically. What if AIM are the ones that want to use it to their advantage, and Sword is there also trying to do what I said, and AIM's trying to do what you said? That would be a great
wow.
feel, because you look at Geraldine. Geraldine is. I didn't know if you knew this. I don't want to tell you if you don't know it though, because she's cast as a certain person that we know.
Oh well, yeah, I know who she is.
Oh, all right. So
Yeah.
she's cast as the second Captain Marvel.
Yes.
So she's the adult version of the little girl in the Captain Marvel movie.
Right.
And they're not gonna. She's a good guy in the comic books. I'm sure she'd be a good guy here. But I wanted to bring up Agnes again, because Agnes is sowing seeds of distrust in Geraldine. So Geraldine's there to help Agnes, and I think Agnes knows more about what's going on than anyone else, because Geraldine's a little confused, right?
Right.
And even her seems confused sometimes. But I feel like everything Agnes does and says is very calculated. And I think Ralph, because she brings up Ralph a lot, but we don't see him. And I think Ralph has something to do. I don't know who Ralph is. If Ralph is a name for or a stand-in for something more diabolical, I don't know.
Diabolical.
But, yeah. Well,
No, I think you're onto something. So, okay. I'm gonna jump on your thoughts here. You're right. I think Agnes probably knows the most right now in that world. Ralph is the one that is manipulating everybody, is really in charge. like Mephisto or something like that. Like there's someone behind it, and that's who Agnes keeps referring back to.
Well, I wonder. I started thinking, like, I wonder if they would do the metaphysical, like, because Mephisto is basically Satan in the comics. He's the devil,
right? Yeah.
And I wonder if they would go metaphysical like that, or just say, kind of like they did with the Asgardians, and say, well, yeah, the North Star, they were gods, but they're really just aliens.
Well, yeah, they did touch upon it in
Mephisto,
Thor Ragnarok. No. Yeah.
What about the Seven Worlds?
Well, yeah, they talked about that, didn't they? Didn't they touch upon like where hell is and stuff? Was Suter?
Yeah, but it's not like the religious hell. It's just alien worlds.
Oh yeah.
So is Mephisto or is he going to be a multidimensional being? Is he part of the multiverse? And what's his end goal? And is it about the kids? I don't know.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you this:
Look how this is another thing. Look how old the kids got. Like they gave birth in one episode. Are they going to be like teenagers by the time this thing ends? Because
possible.
dude, they're totally setting up the Young Avengers. But I'll get to that. Go ask what you can ask.
Okay, if Thanos was the big bad guy for the first part of the Marvel Universe, who is it in the second half? With the Eternals and I was going to pick your brain. Who do you think? I mean, like you got Captain Marvel, you got the Eternals, Shang-Chi. What's the common thread there? Who could be the common bad guy?
Yeah, but so with Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi, Iron Fist, there's a mystical quality there. So they kind of already introduced the mystical quality to the Marvel Universe. I'm just curious how deep they go. Now with the Eternals have an outer space connection. I think it might have been the Kree or the Celestials. But obviously you would say, who's bigger than Thanos? Well, Galactus. But are they going to do another outer space bad guy?
Well, I think you have to. I think you have to because
they introduced the Fantastic Four. Why wouldn't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you still have to go beyond Earth because it's the only thing that makes sense. Who do the Eternals go against? Bad guy? I mean, like burglars. I mean, you have to go to that level because you have to go beyond our realm of people or adversaries.
Right.
So maybe Galactus. I don't know. Galactus just seems so one-dimensional. He does one thing. You know?
He just wants to eat planets.
Right. Yeah. It's got to be someone deeper than that.
Oh, I had it in my head.
Secret Wars. Who was that guy?
That's what I was thinking. The Beyonder.
The Beyonder. Is there a connection there with the Eternals, or?
No, but I mean, well, he was greater than the Galactus, greater than the Celestials. I think they all went and tried to fight him, and he, beat them all. And I think he was from another multiverse or a different universe.
Okay.
I think that was his story.
All right. Well, whoever that is could be the one that's behind what's going on here. Like, who would gain for Wanda to have these babies? There you go.
But is it about the babies? Yeah, I guess it is.
Well, it is about the babies, of course. Yeah.
For the children, right?
Yeah. Yes. So who would gain for having Wanda having metahumans? Or yeah.
I don't know. It's a great question. It's a really great question. But I definitely think they're setting up the Young Avengers because in the comic books, I stopped reading between her kids being dissolved or whatever, erased from existence, and them coming back. They came back as teenagers in I don't know what year. Let's say 2008. I picked up a book, no fanfare, called Young Avengers #1. Looked interesting. Art was great. Fantastic book. 12 issues. I don't think it was a limited series. I read. Maybe it was 12 issues. Great.
Isn't there a character that had like magic, like Wiccan? Isn't that one of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Is it Tommy? He might be Billy. Wiccan. He has magical powers. First he started out as, he called himself as Guardian, and kind of everybody thought he was like, because every Young Avenger had an Avenger counterpart. So there was Hulkling, who I think is really a Skrull, and there was Patriot, who is the grandson of the first
Captain America,
when they tested the serum on. Kate Bishop eventually joins. No relation to Hawkeye, but she was just an accomplished athlete and archer. Iron Lad, who was from the future, who eventually turned out to be a younger Kang,
yeah.
So and then a guy called Speed who ran very fast winds up coming into the team like 10 issues later, and they eventually find out that him and Billy were like twin brothers separated.
Right. Yeah, dude, I think I bought these issues because it's really familiar to me. I don't think I got as deep as episode 10 because I don't remember that.
But I still have them. They're worth a lot of money.
No kidding. Dude. All right, I gotta look, I guess. But yeah, I am familiar with like everyone you just said. So yeah, I guess this is what they're building up to. Yeah,
because you have Kate Bishop's going to be in the Hawkeye series. You already have Ant-Man's daughter. Stature. She was in it. She's already existing in the universe.
So do you remember in the Young Avengers who they fought against? Maybe that'll give you a clue as to what's going on in WandaVision.
I think they fought against Kang.
Oh, there's your answer. Maybe it's Kang.
Didn't they cast Kang for some movie already? They did. They cast Kang.
Okay.
For one of the movies.
We found our answer. Ant-Man. This is what it is then. This second half is going to be about Kang.
Yeah, well, look, it makes sense because Kang's a time traveler, and they did mess with the timeline, and Loki's going to be all about time travel.
Boom.
The TVA is a time variance authority.
Okay, you heard it here first, people. We figured it out.
Maybe. I mean, at the very least, we figure out that they're definitely going to aim for the new Avengers.
Young Avengers. Oh, yeah, new Avengers, yeah.
Yes, Young Avengers.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, in the description of the show, we really have to write something like, hey, guys, refer back to this episode to see if we're right.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Because I remember a long time ago, like Endgame, I remember in the show I said, the name of the movie is going to be Endgame, and I have no idea when I said that. I think it was on the Weekend Geek, and it's like, damn it, I was right. So let's mark down this show as one to go back to in the next coming years.
Oh, okay. Hey, I got a question. Do you think the stork represented anything except just the kids giving birth?
I didn't feel any like symbolism behind it, other than it just came off the wall.
It's just such a right nail on the head kind of thing. Like, oh, she's having a baby. It's the stork.
Well, did you notice too that it was probably the first time her magic didn't work?
When she tried to get rid of it.
Yeah, she you got the red smoke, and the stork was still there.
Oh, yeah. So maybe maybe that's something that wasn't part of her reality. Maybe someone else threw that in there. Maybe it's some weird way the stork... Look, she distorts things, so maybe the stork was her representation of whatever impregnated her or brought the babies to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the toy helicopter, I think it was a real helicopter that brought Geraldine into it. And what was the other? There was some other stuff there too.
So why wouldn't her powers work on it?
Because maybe Ralph or whomever, is immune to her powers.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, this is what's fun about it. I mean, there's so much to think about this episode. Even after watching 3. So after watching 3, and you had to think about episodes 1 and 2, does anything change in your mind about the first 2 episodes? I mean, is there anything new that we know now that we didn't know from episodes 1 and 2?
Well, we have confirmation that it's some kind of warped reality because...
Well, we definitely saw more of it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know it's not the real Marvel, it's not the MCU because Geraldine got kicked out into the real MCU.
Right.
So,
and why is she so much older too?
Was she? What do you mean?
Oh, no, that's right, because Captain Marvel took place in the 90s.
Took place in the 90s.
Right, okay.
Don't you remember Blockbuster Video, all the 90s songs?
Yeah.
They kind of hit you over the head with the fact that it was the 90s.
That's right. Yeah, okay.
Don't get me started. Here's a little bit of news. So Kang is cast, and guess which movie Kang will be the baddie in?
I have no idea.
Ant-Man 3.
What? Ant-Man 3. Oh, is it because Ant-Man has now become like the movie of like interdimensional hopping, I guess, because of what he did recently with Endgame?
Well, I think that the quantum realm opens up a lot of...
Right.
All right, so Ant-Man 3 is called Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Dude, how unbalanced is that? Ant-Man versus Kang.
How does Kang go up against Ant? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
This guy's fought the Avengers to a standstill multiple times.
Right. Well, but maybe it's because you have Ant-Man, Wasp, and then you have Michelle Pfeiffer. Maybe she suits up. Because they didn't really go into her powers too, right? Because it didn't seem like she had something more. Like she had...
Yeah, in the quantum realm.
In the quantum realm, yeah. And then you have, Michael Douglas, whatever he does. So maybe it's more than just Ant-Man and the Wasp. Or they got Ghost too, so maybe she plays a part of it also.
Oh, maybe. But still, all of them against Kang.
I know. Kang's supposed to be like badass, so... Huh. All right.
So, dude, I'm loving this show. I can't wait for the next episode. I said it last podcast. I hope they can sustain this through all 9 episodes.
At the rate they're going, yes, I'm very confident that these guys, they're so good. I mean, talk about like planning, I mean, especially if this is a springboard to the rest of the cinematic universe, that's mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. But I mean, how much do you think this influences, or if there's a connection with like Falcon, Winter Soldier, I mean, is there a tie-in with that too? Like, how intertwined are these Disney shows with the whole cinematic universe? Like, how tight you think it is? I mean, it looks like it's extremely tight. Everything is like extremely related. They're just not throw-off shows.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're going to, that's a good question you asked. Are they going to roll into each other? Is something going to happen in WandaVision that will play out in Winter Soldier? Is there something that's going to happen in that's going to play out in Loki? And so on and so forth. I don't know. It's a good question.
Okay. Any other things? Any other ideas that popped up?
No, I mean, look how much we got. I mean, I think this podcast episode is longer than that actual episode. So, that TV episode. So that's amazing right there.
Well, I think we got a lot of ideas just by you and I, like brainstorming beyond WandaVision. I think we hit a lot of things that actually do make sense. Like Kang is a very strong answer. As to what the second half of the cinematic universe could be about. And the Young Avengers, like creating that, and why do they want to have kids? I mean, I think we touched upon that one too. So this is good.
Yeah, and I really like your theory of a Truman Show thing, and man, what if AIM is treating it like that, and Sword's trying to save them? That's gonna be great.
Yeah, because it seemed like that. Because you did say like when they knocked her into like our quote unquote world, there was a town. I mean, it was more than just like a construct of our imagination. It wasn't like I don't know, computer thingy. I mean, it actually looked like it was like a physical place that they built, and they're trying to screw with her somehow.
Yeah, someone's manipulating her, I think.
Yeah,
I like that theory. Again, my theory was she had a mental break and all this, but now thinking that she might be manipulated, maybe it's both.
Oh, for sure, it's going to be both because she can't figure things. Look, episode 1. Remember they had the little anniversary. What does that anniversary date mean now? That what was it, August 21? It must mean something.
23rd. Yeah.
23rd. She didn't know what was going on. She has no clue what's going on. They're totally screwing with her.
And her, I mean this. I don't know if this is anything, but their house address changed. It's 2800 now, and I'm like, usually numbers in the show connect to like a comic book issue, but there's no comic book issue 2800. So I'm like, what could 2800 mean?
And they did make a point to show the house number too. They've been doing that,
right.
So it's got to have some meaning.
Yeah, and that's the thing too when you watch this show. Nothing is there by accident.
Yeah.
They're putting a lot of detail into it, and they want people to kind of watch it and examine it. And because again, I'm still curious about like the helicopter. Is there significant enough that it had the sword emblem on it, but the fact that it was gold and yellow, gold and red like Iron Man armor, does that mean anything?
Mm-hmm.
Because Stark's dead, but Iron Man's armor still exists, and Rhodey's still out there, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Very,
It's very interesting.
very interesting. Let's see. Anything else?
Yeah, I just want to tell listeners we appreciate you listening, first of all. Secondly, we don't know if we're going to do every WandaVision episode as a separate show. It's just this one.
If they're as good as this, and I enjoy
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying our conversation of speculation. I definitely don't mind, and if the listeners are okay with that, then I'm definitely okay with it. It's
Right.
only we only have like 6 more episodes left, so that's not too bad. This will end sometime in February, so it's why not?
Well, no, I was just saying that. I was saying if we, we'll discuss every Friday if we're going to do an episode on it. But if for 1 week we decide not to, don't get mad at us. Like if episode 6 is a dud, don't get mad that we don't do the show on episode 6. Maybe we'll fold that into
Okay, here we go. Next episode, we're on episode 4. We said the 80s. What 80s thing? All right, so this was Brady Bunch, obviously, right? What do you think is the next episode? Whose house is going to be?
Family Ties or Cosby?
Family Ties or Cosby? Oh yeah, I would say 80s house.
Well, if it didn't have to be a house, I'd say the Cheers bar.
Cosby was Cosby 80s?
Oh my God,
late
yeah.
80s. Yeah.
Mid to late 80s.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think Family Ties
is
is
more toward Family Ties.
Yeah, I think Family Ties is a stronger one.
Yeah, and Cosby was in New York City. He was in a townhouse, and they're
Yeah.
trying to keep that suburban feel.
Yeah, I
So
say
I would
Family
probably
Ties.
say that.
And
Well,
then
what else could it be?
We're gonna say what else could it be? 80s.
In the
That would make sense, right?
Yeah. What other family sitcoms were out in the 80s?
Oh, I mean, there's different strokes, but I don't think they're going to be in Manhattan.
No. Yeah, I think Family Ties is one.
I think that's a really good guess, really strong
Yeah.
guess. And then what do you think she's going to be wearing? Like spandex headband, like a big perm, designer jeans,
Yeah, something like that.
something like that.
I want to know what episode is the Halloween episode where they put on their comic book costumes.
Dude, I bet you that's the 90s.
You think so?
Yeah. And if it's 80, if it's Patty Jenkins, Vision's gonna have a mustache apparently. So,
Patty Jenkins.
yeah, because in her Wonder Woman movie, if you're in the 80s and you're, everyone had a mustache apparently.
I got you. Yeah, I got you.
All right, sorry.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, no, Family
No,
Ties. I agree with you. I think you nailed it.
That's just how I pushed that movie out of my mind. Jenkins, 80s. What are you talking about? Who's this Gary you keep talking about?
Family Ties. No, I think you nailed it. I can't think of any other. Huh?
90s family.
Oh, again, that one could be the Cosbys. Wouldn't you think that's more of a 90s property?
No, I consider Cosby straight up 80s.
Really? Okay. 90s.
You got to remember, I always have to do this to you. We were in college in 1990, right?
Oh, I mean, I told you I didn't watch TV when I was in the 90s, remember?
I know,
Oh,
but
that's why
if
it's
you
blank
remember-
to me.
If you don't watch TV in college, but you remember Cosby, so it had to be the 80s.
Okay. 90s. Saved by the Bell. That's all they can think of.
Well, it's got to be a family. So otherwise, I would have said Friends, but it's got to be like a family.
I mean, Friends could
It's
be.
obvious, it has to be Roseanne. It has to be Roseanne.
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
I can't think of any other 90s family.
Right. Well,
And then I wonder if they're going to go into 2000s, because if next week's 80s, that's the 4th episode. 90s would be 5th episode.
2000s.
6, 7, 8, 9. They still have 4
10,
episodes.
20. Yeah, no, I think they'll hit it.
They'll hit 2000s.
Yeah.
Okay, this is 2000s family. Oof.
Yeah.
That might be like a Dawson's Creek. Or something. Like, I don't even know.
I mean, if they're not talking about a house, I mean, they just may mimic how they film it too.
Yeah,
You
that
know?
could be true.
Yeah, because episodes 1 and 2 had that static camera, like the cameras like towards the audience, and this time Brady Bunch you had different camera angles and stuff. So maybe just how they film things is going to be different, or the laugh track is going to be different, or something.
And I like when she does the magic in the sitcom world. It's very practical, the effects.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But then when she uses her real magic, it gets CGI and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Modernized and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Okay. Do we know Vision could run fast?
No. No.
Oh, okay. So you want to hear my crazy theory?
Okay.
So the kids are going to age up because they were born in one episode. I think they'll be late teens or maybe even early 20s by the time this thing falls apart for her. My crazy theory is that they will get the guy, although he looks like a kid, that played Quicksilver in the X-Men movies to play her son that can run fast.
Wait, what? In the X-Men movies? To play the son?
Quicksilver?
Well, yeah.
Son.
Don't you think he's too old to be a teenager?
Well, they're aging him up. Maybe he'll be in his 20s.
Oh. Cool.
That way, you can bring the actor in, and he can even take the name Quicksilver. He doesn't have to be Speed. He's called Speed in the comic book, but since Quicksilver was never really called Quicksilver.
Very cool.
And then, I don't know who to... Because so that's a lot of the things we don't know about. We don't know the kids. We don't know who's cast to play the kids. We don't know if there are going to be any guest stars because there was rumors. Because there was rumors that Evan Peters, that's the guy that played Quicksilver in the X-Men universe, that he was in the show, that he makes an appearance. And then there are also rumors that the other guy that played Quicksilver in the MCU was in the show.
Oh, interesting.
Or does Quicksilver from X-Men universe show up as a multiverse proof? Like, hey, I'm not.
I mean, they could always bring like the from the Marvel universe as a flashback because they're just siblings. Doesn't necessarily. Yeah, they can do that too, especially if they're going through the years. But
if she's manipulating this reality and she brought the Vision back to life, why couldn't she bring him back to life?
Oh.
Because in this episode, it seems like she forgot him, and then having the twins, because she goes, "I was a twin." It's like she was remembering that she had a twin brother.
Yeah.
And then Geraldine saying he was killed by Ultron brought back the bad memories of the brother. Like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You're bringing that world into here that I don't want.
How tense was that scene? She's like, what did you say? Yeah. Oh, it was good. It was good.
And then when she wasn't there, the next scene, when she's like, she left or something like that, I'm like, oh, boy.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking total Twilight Zone, like she turned her into a Jack-in-a-Box or something.
Yeah, good stuff. Let's see. Anything else?
That's all I got.
Okay. You can find us on Facebook. Hey, dude, what's going on with Facebook? I don't have Facebook anymore. Is anything going on over there?
Well, I keep posting our shows and stuff. And,
okay. Come on, Facebook people. Yeah. Instagram, NerdInMe. Twitter, NerdInMePodcast. YouTube, NerdInMePodcast. Jonathan's been on fire putting up videos, so catch it. And he's been also recreating our audio show into a video show. So if you're into listening to podcasts on YouTube, he's taking care of you. How about that?
Yeah, and I want to say that I am posting a video soon before the next episode of WandaVision, before episode 4 of essential comic books you need to read that might be influencing this show. Essential comics starring Vision and Scarlet Witch.
I like that one. That's a great idea. That's a super idea. And you own the books? You have the books?
Yeah. It's a good thing. It's a good thing I went through my collection and organized it a bit this summer because they were relatively easy to find.
All right. Very cool.
And if you like WandaVision, you like comic books, and I'm going to be posting more comic book content on Nerd Me podcast. I posted one today of my autographed comics. Did you get a chance to look at that?
I did not.
What?
Dude, I work. Gotta work. Try.
Anyway, it's a good episode.
Very good. Anything else? Till next time.
For the children. Peace.
Peace.